Before he was president, George Washington was a warrior, a man who faced impossible odds and helped shape the destiny of America. Now put your hand up if you know a history buff. Okay, so they probably know this story. George Washington chopped down a cherry tree, and then he became the first president of the United States. But between those two famous moments, there's an epic tale of bravery, resilience, and leadership. And no, we're not talking about the time he got lost in the woods and had to survive on his own. We're talking about the real deal, the stuff that made him a legend. George Washington didn't come from a world of privilege. He was born in Virginia in 1732 and spent his early years as a land surveyor and soldier. He grew up knowing the value of hard work and the importance of serving a cause greater than himself. By his early 20s, he was already fighting in the French and Indian War, gaining experience that would prepare him for a far greater challenge. That challenge came in 1775 when the colonies stood against the might of the British Empire. The Continental Congress turned to Washington, naming him Commander of the Continental Army. Now, to say the odds were stacked against him is an understatement. He didn't command the largest army or the best weapons. He led farmers, shopkeepers, and volunteers, ordinary people who just a few months earlier had been going about their daily lives. But when duty called, they answered. They left their fields and workshops to fight for freedom. And Washington, he led them, not with the power of kings, but with the power of their collective will. At first, the war looked hopeless. Washington suffered defeats in New York and had to retreat again and again. His army lacked supplies, shoes, even food. But Washington refused to give up. He led by example, sharing the hardships of his troops and inspiring them with his own indomitable spirit. His strength wasn't just in strategy, it was in his unshakable will. He knew the fight wasn't just about land or resources. It was about the very idea of liberty. In December 1776, with his army's morale at rock bottom, Washington made a bold move. On Christmas night, he led his men across the icy Delaware River and struck the British at Trenton. That daring attack changed everything. It revived the Revolution and proved the American spirit was unbreakable. Years of struggle followed, but Washington's steady leadership kept the cause alive. Finally, in 1781, with help from French allies, he cornered the British at Yorktown. The victory forced Britain to surrender, and the world witnessed something extraordinary. A ragtag army had defeated the most powerful empire of the time. But perhaps Washington's greatest act wasn't on the battlefield. It was what he did after. When the war was won, many expected him to seize power, maybe even crown himself king. Instead, Washington resigned his command, returning to private life. That choice stunned the world and proved his loyalty was to the nation, not to personal power. Of course, America soon called him back, this time not as a general, but as its first president. George Washington set the example for generations of leaders, showing that true strength comes not from the size of one's army, but from the purity of one's intentions, that courage isn't the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. If you're proud of America's history, hit like, share this story, and subscribe for more tales of courage. Until next time.